Hey guys, so today I am getting ready to do some repressing. Thought I would just make a day of it. I was surprised by how many requests I got to film this process when I mentioned that I was going to be repressing a few things in my recent Project Pan update. So I figured, why not film it? We could hang out. Maybe you have some makeup chores that you needed to get done today. Maybe you're washing your brushes. Maybe you're doing some repressing of your own. Maybe you just want to zone out and chill to some relaxing makeup-y vibes. I'll also talk you through how I do my repressing. I've done a tutorial on it in the past as well. So this video is probably going to be a little bit less informational and more just kind of like hanging out, relaxing vibes, that kind of thing. So as you can see, I have 3 products here that I am repressing today. I have my Covergirl Clean Fresh pressed powder. As you can see, this is really close to being finished, and I'm trying to use this up before the end of this month so that I can just have it used up before the move and I don't have to take it with me. I love this powder so much. I am gonna miss it once it's gone. I also have another product from Covergirl. This is the Cheekers Blush in Natural Twinkle that you've probably seen in my Project Pan updates. The pan is a really awkwardly narrow shape. I wish I had an extra compact that I could press this into, but I don't. So I'm just gonna repress it back into this pan, but I'm gonna try to focus it mostly in the middle of the pan so that I can at least have an easier time getting it out of there, but that needs to be repressed. Normally I wouldn't repress something that has this much left in the sides, but because the pan is so small, it's just gotten really hard to pick up anything on my brush. And then this Jordana Bronzer, I don't have pan on this, but I have been having a lot of issues with this hard panning really easily. If you're not familiar, hard pan is essentially when there's kind of this almost shiny, waxy film that sort of coats the top of your powder products. Some products are just more prone to it than others. This one, it seems like every time I use it, it gets hard pan, but essentially it happens when the product picks up and kind of clings to any amount of moisture that was on your brush. Maybe there was some oil on your skin, or maybe just your brush kind of picked up some of the moisture from your foundation, and then it sort of gets stuck and forms a film on top of the product. And normally I can just remove hard pan with Scotch tape, but this, it keeps happening over and over again. So one of you guys suggested on my last Project Pan update that maybe I should try just repressing it and see if that helps the issue. So we're gonna try that out today. Just figured I would give it a shot, why not? So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start with the powder. So here are the supplies that I normally use. This is an old like cuticle pusher tool. It has a wedge-shaped bit on this end and then kind of this pointy part. I think this is meant for like actually trimming your cuticles, but I've just been using this for repressing for years now and it works great. But you don't necessarily have to have this exact tool. You could also use a butter knife, literally anything that you just have around that's kind of like this. A screwdriver would probably work. Just make sure it's clean, of course. And then you're also gonna need isopropyl alcohol. I use the 91%. I tend to find that the higher percentage, the better, the easier to work with, the faster it dries. I know there are some ways to repress without alcohol, but this is just how I've always done it and it works well for me. The only type of product where rubbing alcohol hasn't worked for me has been a pressed pigment eyeshadow. Those you're probably going to want to do a dry repressing technique. And I can link below a tutorial from Emily here on YouTube who has done a really in-depth tutorial on that. It's really helpful. But the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of crush up the powder. This is always so fun. And I like to just kind of slowly scrape so it just kind of crumbles really finely. And essentially you just want to crush it up to be as finely milled of a powder as possible. You want to create just like as close to a loose powder as you can. Okay, so that is adequately crushed up. A lot of times I'll take a little ramekin, dump the powder in there, mix it up, then put it back in the pan, but I couldn't find one today. So I'm just gonna use the pan today, which is honestly easier. Just potentially a little bit messier, but that's okay. So then I'm gonna take my rubbing alcohol and I'm just going to put a few little drops in there. The key is not to put too much. Hope that wasn't too much. And then I'm gonna mix it up. I'm just using the other side of this cuticle pusher to do that. And just slowly add more alcohol if you need it. And you essentially just want to form this into a paste. You don't want it to be too runny, but just enough to get it nice and incorporated with the powder. Just slowly adding more. You can always add more, but you can't take it away, so keep that in mind. And because there's really not a lot of powder left in here, I'm just going to keep this in the center of the pan. I could spread it out to take up the entirety of the pan, but this way it'll be easier to use up every last bit and not have it stuck in the sides again. So then I am just going to, try to pick up any last little bits here. Alright, so then I'm going to take my paper towel and just press it in. So I'm just pressing it into place and essentially just trying to soak up as much of that alcohol as possible. And I was gonna try to keep it just in the center of the pan, but it ended up spreading out, so that's fine. And I'm just gonna do that a few times until I feel like I've squeezed out as much of that alcohol as possible. If I wanted to be really precise, I would use something, well, why not just do it right now? I'm just gonna take the lid off of this setting spray and use that to press it. I don't wanna press it too hard because sometimes when it's too hard pressed, it's like the formula's never quite the same again. So I'm just lightly pressing on that. All right, and there you have it. So it took up a lot more of the pan than I was expecting, but in reality, this is a very thin layer. So I think that I should be able to probably finish this up within the next few weeks, as long as I just use it every day, which is what I'm planning on doing. So there's that. And now I'm just going to leave this out to completely dry. And don't worry, I know a lot of people worry that the alcohol is going to like irritate your face or dry out your face or something, but the whole point of using alcohol is that it evaporates. So theoretically, there's not really going to be any alcohol left in here once it's dry. Alrighty, so next up we have this CoverGirl Blush. I kind of want to clean out this inside part though. As you can see, there's kind of like a film in the middle on the pan, probably just from like a buildup of oil and makeup. I just put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on this paper towel. I'm just gonna kind of wipe that off, because I don't want that to be mixed in. All right, that's good enough. All right, and so I'm just gonna do the same old thing again. This pan is kind of loose. It's always amazing to me how much powder there ends up being when it looked like there was so little left, and now it's like, wow, this pan is basically full again. Cool, 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 cool. So that's good enough. Honestly, I've gotten less and less precise with this as the years have gone on. I used to be so meticulous, and I'm like, there's some chunks in there, that's fine. They'll all kind of mesh together once we get it all mixed in with the alcohol, so I simply don't care anymore. Try to get these little rogue bits back in there. Just gonna use this lipstick to press it in. I think it's a good size. No, actually it's a little too big. Just kidding. Here we go. Here's a little smaller square thing. Oh well, it's actually not as ugly as I was expecting. Why does that look so much more glittery than it used to be? What? That's weird. Did all the glitter just like rise to the top? All right, and there we have it. Once again, I wasn't expecting this to fill up the entire pan, but here we are. It looks so much more glittery than it used to. Like there were little shimmer particles in there, but this is like super glittery now. Weird. Maybe once it dries, it'll look back to normal, but anyway, that is that. And last but not least, we have this Jordana Bronzer. So since I don't even have any pan on this, this one's probably gonna be a little bit messy, but that's okay. Let's just go for it. It's always kind of scary to do this, but you just kind of have to commit. To be honest, I don't really care if this works or not. Like, if this does help with the hard pan, then I'll be glad and I'll continue using it. But if not, I mean, this was what, like a $4 bronzer, so I'm not going to be too heartbroken if I end up having to just toss it because, you know, it's old, it was very cheap, but I did just want to give it a chance. And I'm not going to lie, it's pretty fun to crush up your makeup. It's a great stress reliever in my opinion. Also, I'm really curious to just see what the pan looks like in here. I'm sure you panners out there can relate. Whenever it's a product that I've never panned before or never panned anything from that brand before, I'm always so interested to see what the pan looks like. Like, is it going to be a smooth pan? Does it have ridges? Is it like a waffle pan? It's always a thrill. All right, what do you guys think? Is this pan going to be smooth, bumpy? Is it going to have little designs in it? Let's find out. Oh, it's looking like it has kind of like a diamond, or oh, it has a little X pattern. Actually, that's really similar. I did pan a Jordana face powder last year, and I think this is about the same kind of pan. Yeah, it's hard to see because there's so much powder in there, but sort of has a little checkered pattern. You see that? Cool. Okay, why does it feel like this powder is multiplying the longer I scrape it? It's increasing in volume. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do actually? I'm gonna take a piece of paper. I just remembered when I watched that repressing tutorial from Emily, she used a piece of paper to dump it onto, and that's actually really smart. I forgot about that till just now, so let's do that. So there's that pan all nice and empty. Woohoo. This way I can freely crush. Alright, so now that I have that all nice and crushed up, I'm going to dump it back in. And this is where the paper is really nice because I can just kind of fold it like that. I'm just going to kind of try to press it as much as possible with my tool here. Alright, well, even if this doesn't work, this was still really fun to do, I can't lie. I suddenly just had the strong urge to try this with setting spray instead of alcohol. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna try it because I'm kind of trying to finish this Urban Decay Chill setting spray, and because this is a setting spray with a high alcohol content, I think it might actually work. And again, if it doesn't work, it was still a fun experiment, and now I'll know whether it worked or not. So I'm just gonna spray it in. Oh, wow, that made a mess. Get it nice and saturated. Gonna kind of let that like sink in. I've never tried this before, but if this works, this would be a good way to repurpose a setting spray if you're not a fan of it on your face, or if you don't have rubbing alcohol on hand, this might be a good technique. Let's just try it. I kind of feel like I'm gonna need more. I do enjoy the ease of spraying rather than pouring things in there, because this way, I don't know, I just feel like I have a little more control. Letting that sink in. Interesting how very little product is coming off onto the paper towel. I'm just gonna use my hands. Sometimes I prefer just using my hands to press it. I'll have to put a note on the screen and let you guys know how that setting spray worked in comparison to the rubbing alcohol. I have no idea if this is going to even be usable now, but I hope so. Fingers crossed. Alright, so thanks for repressing with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you've not already, and hopefully I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye!